Hey, there we are. Okay, this is probably not the best time to start, but I scheduled the stream for 9 o'clock and it's almost 9 o'clock. Bear with me, alright? So last time I streamed, I said I wanted to get chat to show up. So I'm kind of fucking around with OBS here, trying to make sure that we get everything on screen. We get chat to show up. I forgot how to do it with YouTube chat. So my method is a little bit old school. I think there's a better method of doing this, but anyways, I gotta clean up some stuff because there's a bunch of like old um, stuff that I don't use anymore in my OBS thing. Actually, I think that was everything right there. Okay, all right. So I need to copy this over. So there should be a YouTube chat here. Right here. You can kind of see there's like some hazy YouTube information right there. So yeah, I'm just gonna copy that over here. Oh, now the chat is on top of me. Can we move that up? There we go. That'll work. All right, and then we're gonna copy the chat here. There. Okay. All right. And it'd be nice if that learn more thing would go away, but I don't know if it is. Also, I just realized that it's like white text. Um, can I like make this bigger? And so the white text might have been keyed out. So the way that I did this was that I just use a web page here, and then I just put on a chroma key like this, and I think it has keyed out the text as well. That didn't seem to fix it. I need to remove the opacity on it. Not that. Filters. Let's remove this for a moment so I can see everything a little bit better. And then here, similarity. Let's like crank that down to 5. Okay, that's marginally not better, really, honestly. And then, okay, so it's like nothing is there. Maybe it's the key color spill reduction? I honestly don't know. Everything's set down to 1. I don't know. I need someone to come in here and start chatting so I can fuck around with this. I guess I could chat myself. Um, this is a test. All right, you can see my picture and you can see not applicable, but you cannot see the white text. Why is that? Is it because of the chroma key? It is because of the chroma key. I don't know, man. I'm just gonna have to fuck with this later. Alright, I'm gonna mess with it later. We'll just turn that off for now. And turn this one off. And turn this one off. Alright. Alright, I'll figure that out later. Okay, so I've gotten a lot of work done on my game. So why don't we just jump right on into it and start taking a look. I need to have YouTube and OBS open, not just OBS, to make sure that nothing is going wrong on YouTube. Okay, so I haven't, man, I was focusing on that. I didn't even crack open my drink. No, they had cider. I think I talked about this before. It's kind of uncommon here. It's usually just like a specialty drink. This one's okay. It's only 5%. Yeah, it's okay. It's not the best cider I've had, but that's all right. So, anyways, I had a lot of work done. kind of with a little bit of everything. I've completely, like, redone a part of my game. So we will come back to the cave in a moment. We're going to go over here. And I've been playtesting a bunch of stuff. So I'm going to set the player here. This is my sandbox, which is where I test a bunch of stuff. And let's give it a run. Okay, so I have this new leveling system set up. So let me explain how the leveling system worked before. Let's move this over here for right now, although it's blocking chat. There we go. Let's see, which one was it? This one? Yeah, okay. So here's how the old leveling system worked. So I did this without plugins, and also, I don't know, there may be better ways of doing this automatic leveling system, like a level scaling system, but I couldn't think of one. I mean, using just vanilla assets, like, obviously there's plugins that can do it. So the old way was just handled through this. So basically, this used to be like an auto run event, and every time the player reloads the map, it just checks the player's level, although it's not here. I don't know where the player level check is. I don't know why it's not on this, but anyways, it normally should be on this. I have a better one set up. Let's go over here. Nope. Yep, here it is. Okay, so you can see here it checks the player's level, and then it goes through each of these steps. If the level is 0, then it turns on enemy rank 1. If the player level is 3, then it turns on enemy rank 2. If the player level is 5, it turns on enemy rank 3. Player level is 7, turns on enemy rank 4. And player level is 9, turns on enemy rank 5. So basically, instead of having a smooth and consistent, like, it levels up the enemies kind of in these stair steps, instead of like a linearly following the player. Instead, the player usually gets one step ahead before the enemy levels up again. So you get this like staircase effect in their leveling. And so yeah, it's not the greatest, but the reason why it was done that way was just because, one, I was a little bit too stupid on how to figure out a better way of doing a level scaling system, and because I couldn't figure out a better way of doing that, this system here has some problems. You'll see this. So I did discover a more efficient way of doing this. I could actually just hide all of these enemies into new event tabs, and that would simplify this. But either way, you'd still get 5 variations of enemies, and that also fills up my database real fast. You can see here that all of these enemies right here are for different ranks, and that's just for one level. And if each level is going to have their own set of enemies, you can imagine that your database of enemies gets filled up quite quickly. Also, that's not even all the enemies. Where's the other one? Oh, yeah. That is all the enemies. Okay, yeah, so you have these 5 here, and then you have these ones here as well. So there's only 3 enemies, which is not a lot of variety, I think, for this. But I didn't want to just crowd my database by spamming a bunch of, different enemies. You can see they level up as you go through the stats here. So yeah, so this was not very effective. Like, it worked, but it was really clunky is the thing. And so I have been meaning to do this for a long time. There's a number of things I wanted to do to adjust combat. So number one is, now that I have Yawnfly's full collection, I know that Yawnfly has the enemy scaling thing, and I debated whether I wanted to implement it or not, because I had already built this whole enemy scaling system now that it's fairly easy, now that it's been built, to just copy and paste to other places, except that's not entirely true, because I still have to build out each enemy 5 times. I have to build out each enemy 5 times. So, and actually, that was ultimately what made me decide to switch over to Yawnfly's enemy scaler. So, yeah, so I switched over to Yawnfly's enemy scaler now. So that means completely revising the way that my game handles level scaling. And so that was one of the things that I wanted to do. The other thing I wanted to do was also just kind of organize the database, as well as just work on the way that combat looks. So let's bring this back over so we can take a look. So first, let's just do it like this. Yeah, I think it's okay to fight this one. So I have redone some parts of the combat commands here. So we have engage, support, poise, item. So the way that this works, and this is only temporary, I do want to change this in the future. Like, these names will probably stay the same, but there's still going to be some changes with the way that this is done. But this is kind of like a rough draft of how I want this to go. So basically, if you go to engage, then you have, these are attacks. They harm the enemy. So engage, you engage the enemy. So you have your magic attacks, your 3 elements there, and then you also have your basic attack. And one thing I don't really like is that it keeps stuffing the basic attack at the end of this list here instead of at the front of the list. I really hate the way that the fucking database like sorts these skills. So it just sorts. I don't know all of the rules for the way that it sorts these skills, but what I have discovered is the order that they appear in your list for sure is based on, like, if you learn them all at the same time. Say, like in my case, at level 1 you have 3 different skills, okay? So you've learned all of these skills at the same time. So what order do they display? In RPG Maker, if you've learned those 3 skills at the same time, the order that it's displayed in your command list here is based on what number they are in the database. So I wanted to, so I wanted these skills, these 3 skills here, to be in a very specific order. I wanted it to be wind, lightning, fire, deliberately, because there's a hidden mechanic within my game where you will be juggling through all of these in that order. So you'll go wind, lightning, fire, 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 like that. So yeah, I wanted it to be there because it makes logical sense within my game. However, your basic attack is going to be a fairly common attack, so I want it to be quickly accessible. Now, I know by default, RPG Maker has attack at the very top of the list, which would be very quickly accessible. However, I wanted to separate because these lists here can get very long and clunky with lots and lots of different skills. And since my game only has one member, one actor, one party member, the party member learns a lot of skills because they have to cover themselves. They have to play every role that you would have in an RPG. So I wanted to make the list less cluttered by separating the skills into 2 different types. You have your engage types, and then you have your support types, which right now there's only the healing skill and, of course, the debug skills, which will be removed whenever the game gets published. So at level 1, you only have that 1 skill there. But later on, it will fill up with other skills in the list. Because I want to have these 2 here, and then I also want guard, which I've renamed to poise just because it's I don't know, it sounds like the kind of vocabulary that my game uses. I just wanted to give it something. I wanted to give it its own unique vocabulary that's within the, like, that is consistent with the game. So I renamed guard to poise. It makes sense in my head. Anyways, so I want to leave it as a dedicated option here on the page. So if you use poise, it just goes right into guard. Let's let that play out. All right. Nice to see you, Fortuna. I'll explain that in just a moment. So because I wanted to leave guard on the main, your main command list, and then of course have item on the main command list. I didn't want this to go to 5. Like in Yonfly's stuff, you can set it to have 5 commands here, but the page looks too chunky with five lines. And then of course you could do scroll lists too, but then when you're scrolling, you're hiding information, and I don't want to hide any information from the player. So basically, to me, the only choice is to have 4 lines, no scrolling. So I can't just leave attack at the top of the list if I want to separate it into the 2 different types here. So I want attack to be easily accessible. I don't know why the database does this. Attack is still... I have a plugin. It's one of the free plugins that come with RPG Maker where you assign a skill to a weapon, because the way that my weapons work use different skills instead of just your basic attack. And it seems that despite attack still being near the top of the list, above these for sure in my database, I spent forever rearranging my whole database. It still puts attack at the end. And I believe that's because items that add skills to the player get put into the list last, regardless of where they are in the database, which is really fucking annoying because I spent forever organizing my fucking database so that everything made logical sense, and then this shit, it still throws it in at the end. Whatever. I want to, like I said, this is kind of like a, I don't know, a rough draft. I'd really like to, yeah, thanks, Fortuna. Yep. Skills obtained by equipment always appear on the bottom. Yep, so I've learned. This is just a rough draft for right now. I want to... There's a plugin I want made. As far as I'm aware, it doesn't exist. That's going to basically make it so that it doesn't really matter where these are. I mean, it does a little bit just for aesthetics. But as far as control goes, it doesn't matter where they are. Or maybe one day I'll talk about that. So, anyways, to answer your question before about the skip events, that basically, there's a bunch of events that play out at the start of the game. Here, I'll tell you what. Let's just close out. So, for example, if I set the player here, so if I set the player here and I go south, this goes into the town. And the player is, like, when they first arrive at the town, yeah, it plays an event. So, yeah, so basically what the skip event does is, oops, it just sets a bunch of switches that kind of skip a bunch of stuff. So I can just go in here. It skips a few tutorials as well. It also gives me, you know, all the money. So it's just, you know, basic stuff. Skip tutorials, skip some beginning events and stuff like that. So that way I can just go about my business without having to watch the intro for like the umpteenth time. How the fuck did you get there? Oh, it doesn't have collision. That's how you got there. You taught me something new. Thank you. I could go into my tiles and figure out... No, I should probably do that. Let's not be lazy. Let's go to my tiles and figure out which one that is. Where's the flower bed? Those flowers have collision on them. I don't know what fucking tile that was. I don't know. I'm gonna do it the lazy way. There's... Who was it? There's someone on the forums who got angry at me for recommending doing this. Just gave me shit for... Just open up region... What is it called? Region... Whatever. Region block. Region... Oh, it should be... Should be 52, I think. Yeah, 52. Region restrictions. That's what it's called. Yeah, there's someone on the forum who got angry at me for just recommending folks use region restrictions for their tiles. Anyways. Yeah, well, it's no big deal. I don't know what tile that is in the set. Like, there's flowers there. You saw that. Like, there's purple flowers, right? Here are my purple flowers. And they have the X's on them. So, I don't know. It must not be those purple flowers. They do look slightly different. But I don't know where the fuck those are. Yeah, I have no clue. Yeah, I don't know. See, that's why I did that. That's why I was lazy about it. I have no idea where those tiles came from. They're somewhere in here. It's the tile under. Okay, see, that's the garden box right there. And I think that's using... Oh, it's probably the grass. Ah, okay. I bet that's it. That makes sense. I think I recently switched that grass to... Yeah, okay. I not so long ago, I think I switched that grass to being circles, thinking that it's not going to cause any problems. That's why that happened. All right, well, we figured it out. Anyways, yeah, so let's go back to the sandbox and just set the player there. Also, if you're wondering why I didn't put the skip event under the dev menu skill, that's just because I want to access it quickly. The dev menu is a little bit slow because you have to wait for it to say what do you want to do, which I guess that doesn't have to be there. I'm just particular about that kind of stuff because it's not like anyone else is going to access the dev menu. But anyways, you have to wait for it to say what do you want to do, and then you have to scroll through the list to find what you want to do. So rather than have to do all of that, I just left it as its own thing here, so it's easy to access. So one of the other things I worked on quite a bit was the... Oh, I actually, before I even started talking about that, one of the things I was talking about before was the enemy scaling. So I can show that off now. So I implemented Yanfly's enemy scaler. So if we do this, we can see this one's level 3, that one's level 4, this one's level 4. I know the colors are all, like, it's difficult to kind of read some of this stuff. So there's a couple of things. First of all, I actually don't want to leave the levels in there. Like, you can turn that on or off in Yanfly's plugin, which is good because I don't want the level 4, level 3, whatever, shown to the player. I don't want that there. Because really the reason why I have a range in the levels, plus or minus the player's level, is that it doesn't make each combat encounter feel exactly the same. Sometimes combat encounters will be slightly easier, sometimes they'll be slightly harder. And that's basically why I have the range on the level, is that way combat feels slightly varied each time. But for right now, I have left the levels there just for myself, just to make sure just so I know what I'm fighting and make sure that things are working correctly, because one of the other things I was working on was, of course, balancing these levels, which I'll talk about in just a minute. So, yeah, so I got that set up. The other thing that I worked on, of course, like I completely rearranged all of my database, as I mentioned earlier, to get all this set up. But I also worked on just the appearance of things. I know it's kind of subtle, but like the health bar has been changed to just this purple, and also the back of the you can actually really see it here. The back of gauges. This isn't a gauge, it's just a picture, but you can see the gauge down here. All of this has been changed to this color. So like I reworked a lot of the colors in this and kind of refined the way things looked a little bit. So spent a lot of time on that. And one of the things I worked on as well is also the damage numbers themselves. For a while now, I've just been using the default damage number sheet, but I have changed it using the font that I use on everything. So now it's consistent. Also, I'm glad that showed up. So for miss, it says faint, which again goes back to like poise, where it's just, I don't know, vocabulary that fits my game. It's totally not necessary to call it faint. I could have just left it as miss, but I don't know. I guess I want it to be a special snowflake and not call it miss. Oh. I just did something that also I got implemented. I got a new plugin that allows players to use any skill that they want anytime, even if they don't have enough magic to use it. So if you do that, it just says doesn't have enough confidence. I call the magic confidence in my game. So that's also why it says con P here. That's because calling things CP is not okay. So I shortened it to Conp instead of CP. So yeah. So you can do that, and the reason why I've done that is for right now it kind of sucks because there's not a lot of reason to it. I would really like to completely rearrange the whole like UI for combat, where hopefully I can have the magic bar present at all times on the screen. Let me go back into battle real quick. So like right now, oh, you can't even see it because my stupid webcam is in the way. There we go. Okay, so right now, if I go to, you can see my magic bar here, my compy bar. But then when I go to attack, suddenly, oh no, I can't see it anymore. So you'd have to constantly go back and forth. That says it costs six magic to do. Go back. Oh, okay, I have 6. All right. So, you know, that I don't like that. So one of the things I definitely want is to make sure that the magic bar is always present on screen. Let me show you. So right now it does kind of suck because like it's very easy for players to like misjudge the number of magic that they have. Because like I said, right now you go into the magic or you go into the skill list and you have no idea how much magic you have. You have to constantly check back and forth, and it's very easy for players to just miss the fact that they don't actually have enough magic. But this comes into play with the oh, I didn't mean to completely close out of the game. Whoops, I meant to just run from the fight. Anyways, this comes into play with the gear system. So, I have to explain how the mechanics work in my game. So, first, let's level up a little bit. And then we're going to equip. I don't know, it doesn't matter. Let's just equip. I think... Yeah, we'll leave that on. It doesn't matter. It's entirely just for this one piece of equipment right here. So the way that I've set up my equipment is that you basically have your weapon and then 2 accessories. Accessory 1 has a really positive effect, but also has a negative effect. And then accessory 2 has a weak positive effect, but there's no negative effects to it. So, and the purpose is to like make a build like you would with an RPG. Like decide which one of these kind of fit your style. We have things that boost your magic, things that boost your attack, things that boost your stack rate. So yeah, so this one's one of the ones that I really like. It might be a little bit overpowered. I've been trying to kind of balance it a little bit. So basically what it does is it gives you 2 actions per turn, but it halves your confidence points, your comp, your magic. Basically what I wanted is that because of the way that turns are calculated, right? So I go in here, and then I go to engage, and I see, oh, maybe I want to use Turbulent Forecast, Tesla Capacitor, or Propane Ignition. All of those cost 12. I want to use one of those. Well, I don't have 12. But here's the way that my game works. Being attacked or attacking increases your comp. So, when you can take 2 actions per turn, I want to attack first. That's going to build my comp up. It might not build it up enough, though, actually, now that I think about it. I don't think it's going to increase it by 5 points. Oh well, anyways, I'm going to demonstrate whether I have enough or not. I'm going to demonstrate how this is intended to work. So first, I would do that attack, which would build up my confidence. And then I would want to execute the next attack that expends my confidence. So that's why I wanted to allow that, because without the plugin of being able to select something, I could not do this. Because right now, I am, I get 2 actions, but it's basing my choice of actions based on my current state, which is 7 confidence points. Now, if that attack that I set up with my previous action boosts my confidence points by 5 points, then selecting this will work. So yeah, that only boosted up 3 points, so I'm not going to have enough. So unfortunately, that was a bad demonstration of what I'm talking about. But you get the idea. So yeah, so here, here's what I could have done, is I could have done poise. So guarding will boost your confidence points. And then after that, I already have 12, so it doesn't matter. Oh, but maybe I want to do Peerless Resilience, which is actually not very effective right now. But anyways, so I guard, boost my points, and then Peerless Resilience. There we go. I was able to cast the skill. So that's the whole point. One of the other things is that, yeah, if players... Like, I want to make sure that I can give players all the information. Like I said, right now, I think the ability for players to select an option that they don't have enough magic points for, right now, as things look currently on screen, this is not fair. Because what they see right now does not give them all of the information. That's why I was saying is I want, in the future, to get some sort of plugin. I want to completely redesign the way that all of this works. And I want to make sure that the magic bar is always present on screen. So either put it under the player character or, do it over here on the side somewhere. I don't know. Either way, the magic bar always needs to be present. So that way, when the player gets to this page here, they have all the information. At which point, yes, it is their fault if they make the wrong choice, because I have given them all the information. Yes, there is a chance they may accidentally push the wrong key. I am aware of that. Too bad. So, yeah, that's the idea there. Yeah. Anyways, was there something else I was gonna talk about on that? I don't remember. I kind of explained my whole gear system to you. So. Okay, so I don't think there's anything else about that. So one of the things that I did work on, so I guess actually, no, there is something I should. Let's go back to combat. Should I fight them? No, probably not. We need someone with a lot of health. Hang on. Let's go over here. So we can just wail on this dude a little bit. Okay, so... let me explain how my combat system works. So, like, you already know that you have the confidence system, where you start at 0 magic, and you have to... Huh? Why does he... Did he heal himself? Oh, that's probably because I moved my database around, so he's using the wrong skill. Well, it doesn't matter anyways. So I already talked about the confidence system. So you start at basically 0 magic, and then you have to build your magic up to expend it. And you have multiple ways of doing that. You can either guard to build up your magic, or you can attack. Both of those will build up your confidence. Also, you can get hit by an attack. So guarding serves 2 purposes. 3 purposes, I guess. Although 2 of them, I guess, you could say are combined. I just realized I'm... Here we go. There we go. Need the webcam. So I guess 2 of them are combined. But anyways, so basically, you can guard to build up con P, but also, because you're guarding, you'll take less damage. So you guard to take less damage. But then, also, if you get hit by an attack, it also builds up your confidence. So... guarding is a great way to build up confidence. Also, the other thing about guarding is that it is percentage-based rather than a flat number. So the way that attacking goes is that it's just a flat number. It always restores just a flat amount of comp every time. Meanwhile, guarding restores percentage-based. So as you level up, guarding becomes more and more effective. So the other thing that you have is... your stack system here. So basically, it's kind of hard to read, I know. This is some more font stuff that I want to get sorted out. But there is a 2 here. And basically, you build up element stacks, right? So using certain elements will apply a stack. And each stack will increase the amount of damage that element does. So that... it did 0 damage. Why is it doing 0 damage? I don't know why it's doing 0 damage to him. Is it because he's leveled? Is that, like... But did his... Don't you have to specify what enemies get the curve applied? Why is he not taking any damage? Right? Yeah, so you have the... Oh, no. That's just the... Huh. I don't know. Let's... gosh. So I don't know why it does 0 damage to him. Oh. Is that why? That's not why, is it? Let's just try a different element. Oh, I don't have enough. Okay, let's try this again. Attack, and there's the attack, and okay, that did some damage to him. I don't know if you're actually be able to see the stacking rate, but basically, the point is that you build these element stacks up. And it can go up to a max of 5 stacks. And each stack is like, what is it? I think it's 15 or 20% for each stack. So you start doing more and more damage. Enemies can also do this to you. So enemies can also apply stacks to the player. And also, not only does it increase damage for that element type, but each element has its own side effect. You've kind of seen it happen here, where if the enemy has an electric stack on them, they'll be paralyzed. They'll lose their turn. Same thing can happen to the player as well. Fire stack has your typical burn status, so if you have a fire stack on you, you'll take damage over time. And then the wind stack will remove confidence from you, so it's MP damage over time. But, so the hidden mechanic here is that, actually I don't know if it's going to be hidden. It's kind of, as my design has gone on, it's become less of like a hidden kind of thing and sort of a thing that the game has just been designed around. So it may not be so hidden. I might actually make a tutorial for this. So basically, each element has a bonus weakness to the next element in the row. So whenever you cast a new element, it removes the previous element. So for example, right now he has an electric stack on him, right? So if I cast another element on him, say for example, fire. Do I have enough MP? No, I don't. Okay, we have to attack him first. So if I attack him with fire, even though he has an electric stack on him, he is going to lose all of those electric stacks. All of the electric stacks are gone, and there's a chance that he'll get a new stack on him, the fire stack. He didn't this time, so tough luck. So basically, you can only have one element stack on an enemy at a time, and every time you cast a new element, it removes all the stacks. Now here's where it gets fun. So each element has a bonus damage to the next element in the row. But when you use the next element, it's going to remove all those stacks. So basically, you're sacrificing all of your stacks that you have currently to do a lot of bonus damage at one time. So you get like this burst. So, for example, I could build up like 5 stacks, which, by the way, that's really difficult to do. I could build up 5 stacks on the enemy of wind. And then, at that point, I could either keep casting wind to do a lot of wind damage, or I think it gets 50% bonus damage to the next element over. So that would be, for each stack, that's 5 times 50. So that's 250% bonus damage. So I could, after having 5 stacks, I could cast an electric stack, clear all of my wind stacks, do a buttload of electric damage, and then have to start building stacks up again. And that's what I've called juggling. So basically, you try to build stacks with an element, move over to the next, build up stacks there, move over to the next, build up stacks there, move over to the next, and so on and so forth. So that's how that works. So, unable to escape. What? What has happened to this orc? I think fucking Yonfly's enemy scaler has completely borked this fight. Oh no. Oh no. Okay, alright, we'll just have to close out. We're locked into this. So, anyways, so that's how the combat system works, and that's kind of how you can see how the gear kind of comes into play. So with the gear, you have things like, so here with your attack weapons, with your weapons, you get things that can either boost attack and have a small chance to apply a wind stack or an element stack, or you can select weapons that have these have a small chance to apply. What am I trying to say here? They have a small chance to apply an element stack, but they have high attack. Or you can select a weapon that has a high chance to apply an element stack, but has a lower attack output. So that's how weapons here work. And then we have the accessories 1, which, like I mentioned before, so they have usually a strong positive effect, but also at the cost of something else. So like this one here, the Wife's Brooch, makes the wearer feel more magically powerful, but it also seems tougher to do magic things. So basically this increases your magic attack by a lot, but all of your magic skills cost more confidence to use. Hair Tied Too Tight restores a lot of confidence each turn, but you lose a little health each turn. So in this case, it does, well, I mean, it does exactly what it says. So you get more magic points. Like, magic points restore each turn, but you're also losing health each turn. Gnarly Necklace makes the wearer feel more physically powerful and can stack stuff, elements, easier, but they also feel magically weaker. So basically, this greatly reduces your magic attack, but greatly reduces your physical attack. Heavy Earrings, I kind of like this one because it completely changes the way that the game, the way that players would interact with the game. This fashion statement is very empowering, but a bit unwieldy to move. Increased magic effectiveness, but unable to use physical attacks. So basically, it increases your magic attack, but you can no longer use your basic attack. Which, by the way, that's like kind of like, it's not the end of the world to lose that, but considering that your basic attack is one of the methods to restore your confidence, losing that just makes you lose one way of trying to regain confidence. Permastack's Coat, we already went over this, allows the user to take 2 actions, but they have reduced confidence. Their confidence is reduced by half. And then Juggler's Noose makes the wearer super ultra very lucky. So basically increases the stack rate for the player, makes it much more likely that they can get more stacks on the enemy much quicker, but also greatly increases the stack rate for the player. So now it's easier for enemies to get stacks onto the player. And then your basic equipment is, just increase stats and stuff. I actually kind of ran out of ideas for these. I wanted exactly 10. I believe that's what it is. Yeah, 10. So I kind of ran out of ideas because there's not really that many stats that are used in the game. So we have stack rate, just a flat increase of stack rate. Confidence, restores a small amount of confidence each turn. Restore a small amount of health each turn. Greatly increase your maximum confidence points. Increase your magic abilities. Increase your physical abilities. A small bit of insurance against the elements, so slight reduction in enemies' chance to apply element stacks. So basically it reduces the enemy's stack rate. Tough Coat for, okay, so this one, slight reduction in damage taken from elements, so you get elemental immunity, small, or elemental resistance, I guess would be the technical term. Best Defense increases your defense. It's the only item to do so. And the Hag's Hat, which is where I ran out of ideas. It just adds 3 new support skills that guarantee state stacks. So, yeah. Anyways, so one of the things that I had done with implementing Yonfly's enemy thing, was completely reworking the way that health works. The way that health works is health scaling in this game. I completely rebalanced the game. So this is probably not the last time that I'm going to do it, and it's also not the first time that I've had to do it. Probably, I don't know, you can go back through my stream archives, and you can find one of the archives where I talked about completely rebalancing the way that combat works. And I've done it again. So one of the things that I did was that I have flattened the curve at which the player gains power, which is kind of funny because it was actually already a linear curve. So it's just like 1 point increase each level because I'm dealing with very small numbers. So how do you flatten an already linear curve that's as linear as it can be? Well, that's by offsetting when the player gets certain skills or certain stat boosts. So it's like one level increases your maximum confidence points and maximum HP. The next level increases your attack and your magic attack, and the next level increases health and magic. Next level, your attack. So it trades off like that. So instead of it being 10 points gained in your attack and 10 points of health and 10 points of so on and so forth, now it's 5 points. So it's now reduced even more. And the enemies, on the other hand, have like rapidly scaled. And the reason is because at the start of the game, the player doesn't have as many tools at their disposal for building stacks. Also, the way that stack rate is done, which by the way is just the luck stat that's just been renamed, it starts at, I guess you could say, negative luck, I guess is the way that you could say it. Through my testing, it seems like any number that's below 250 negatively affects the chance, or negatively affects your luck, while anything above 250 positively affects your luck. That's what I found through testing, at least. So I don't know how true that is, but that's what it seems. So technically, when the player starts, if that's true, the player starts with a negative luck buff. Their stack rate is a little bit harder. So at the beginning of the game, it's harder to get stacks onto the enemy. But then, of course, as the game goes by, in your typical RPG fashion, your luck begins to raise. So it becomes easier to apply stacks, not to mention you get more equipment, so you have more tools at your disposal. So at the beginning of the game, you don't have to worry too much about applying stacks to do damage. But as the game goes on, I start to expect the player to be able to do stacks to do more damage. And here's what I really like about this. The game's difficulty itself doesn't sharply increase, because what I've done... We'll pull this over here. What I've done is this is only for health, where health scales like this. You can see starting at just past 4, so in 5. Let me bring this up. So at around 5, you can start to see that the curve, like, it's fairly linear here. And then 5 is a little bit higher, a little bit sharper, a little bit sharper, a little bit sharper, and then it starts to really rise up to 10. We can totally ignore 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, because the max level is actually 10 in the game. The only reason why it's I've calculated for 11, 12, 13, 14, and 15 is that there may be, like when I did my previous game, one of the later updates, I decided to change the max level +1. And so I just left room in the calculation in the event that I decide to add something later down the line, either make a DLC, or if I just decide in an update to increase the max level, then enemies are still calculated to go up that. I don't have to do like a bunch of extra work because it's already in the calculation. So anyways, 10 is the max level here, so we can just look at that here. So you can see that it quickly begins to scale up like this. And so what I like is that their damage output is still fairly linear. It does have a slight like bump in it once you start getting past 5, but it is still fairly linear. And basically what's happening here is that the difficulty of the actual damage output is mostly staying the same. So the actual challenge of the game is staying relatively the same, only slightly increasing. But what's actually happening is that the length of time that the player is in combat will increase based on how well they know the system. So I guess that I should actually rephrase that. The length of time will decrease based on how well they know my game. So by having higher health, all that is doing is making the enemy more tanky. And because the enemy is more tanky, basically what happens is players who don't understand my system at all are going to be in a very long fight with the enemy. Players who do understand my game mechanics very well will be able to get through the fights pretty quickly. So, and that's basically all it is that this ridiculous curve like this is my way of handling difficulty, where the game's challenge itself doesn't necessarily increase, but maybe the annoyance increases. And there's a reason, again, why I also did that is because the game itself is kind of more geared towards, I guess I would say, a general audience. So I do imagine that there might be some younger people who might be playing it. And in that case, I don't want them to feel frustrated because the game is too difficult. They might just feel frustrated because the game takes too long. So yeah. And I played around forever with this graph, getting it just right. And in order to do that, I started in RPG Maker, like just trying to adjust the curve. So we have down here these are the different curves. This is one of the things I like about Yawnfly's plugin is that you can tie a class to an enemy. So like enemies use different classes. So like if we go down here to the bureaucratic jelly, you can see I've applied this note tag here using class 8. For my own reference, to remind me what class 8 is, I put tank class there. So the bureaucratic jelly is a tank class, and basically tank class just means, I mean, if you played any MMO RPG or just regular RPG, you probably can figure out what that means. It means they have a lot of health, but they don't do a lot of damage. Then we have the DPS class here. It's the inverse. You know, they do a lot of damage, but they don't have a lot of health. And then kind of in between, we have a caster class, which has a moderate amount of health, but also does quite a bit of damage as well. So it's kind of like your in-between. So anyways, I can apply those classes to any of the enemies. And so I had originally started out trying to figure out the HP curve, like in here, but this is so clunky to use. To be able to set up these values that I just said, no. I started with this. I spent probably, I don't know, 30, 40 minutes like working with the numbers in here. And I was like, no. There's a better way to do this. And I had brought up a Google Sheets here. And it's kind of messy. I'm not a big Google Sheets user. The most I use Excel or spreadsheets is, you know, I might use a sum. And actually, I didn't even know how to do graphs originally. I kind of had to learn how to do graph because the most I use Sheets for is mostly just doing sums and keeping track of some stuff, some numbers, some money. So anyways, nothing too advanced though. And so once I got this set up though, is I can like change any of these numbers. Like for example, if I go to here, this is the tank difference. So let's just set that to 100. And you can see it reflects it in the graph down here. So I can actually visualize how things will scale. So, and basically this is just also using a sum. And then, so this right here is going to be the sum of this cell and this cell right here. But like I said, I know this page is kind of set up really messily. If I had... yeah, graphs everywhere. Yeah, if I had actually thought this through better, I probably would have organized this graph a little bit better, but oh well. What I do like is that I can just change these numbers at any time. Like, I don't know, we'll just, like I showed before, that can be 100, and this can be, I don't know, 200. And there we go. It reflects it, so... So yeah, using this really made a huge difference in trying to figure out the optimal curve. And I don't know if this is going to be the last time that I have to work on balancing. I can assure you it's not going to be the last time I have to work on balancing my game. But I feel like I'm getting much closer to just right, just refining those numbers just right so that things feel good, you know. So, yeah, that's everything for combat. I'm glad we pulled through that. I can't believe I spent about an hour talking about just the combat changes. I'd spent the most time working on that this week. But it's not everything. If we go to the cave, where the current level I'm working on, I got a little bit distracted with doing all the numbers and balancing and stuff. It had been something that had been on my to-do list for a long time now. And I just never really quite had, like, the motivation to get around to doing it. Especially when I needed to work on the cave. But I just woke up one day and was like, you know what, I'm ready to do this. And so I decided, since I had the motivation then and now, that I was going to do it. So I just knocked it out. So because I worked so much on that, I didn't really have a lot of time to get around to working on the cave. But I did get a lot of work done in the end. Let me show you this. I'm pretty proud of this. I had to do a lot of custom work. Okay, so last time in the cave, I showed off this We had the zoom thing. Fortuna Street, this is the thing that I was complaining about. You know, we sorted it out with the fading out of the light mask and all of that. So we've got this puzzle piece figured out. So over here, things get a lot more complicated. This took such a long time to set up. So let's start the player here. And what you'll see is that you have these 3 water tanks here. And then you also have these 3 platforms here. So this is how the puzzle works. So let's load up the game. We're going to take a look around. So I have this look around mechanic right here. So you just take a look around. When you're finished, press the action button. Okay, so we can look around and you'll see, oh, these water tanks are empty. Look at that. Empty water tanks. So, okay. So we'll exit out of that. Those empty water tanks took me forever to make. So they're not part of, like, they're not really part of the FSM stuff at all. I had to make it myself. Basically what I did is just a lot of Photoshop work. Just copying, pasting different sections using patch tools and stuff like that. And then using the... Anyways, it worked out pretty well. Here's the cool part, all right? Watch what happens when I push the switch. We scroll over there. Okay, it broke. Why did it break? Why do you do this on stream? Why do you embarrass me like this? Why did you break? Oh my god. Alright, maybe it's a fluke. I know sometimes RPG makers gotta like buffer in the graphics, so maybe the problem is that it didn't buffer shit in properly. So let's try again. We're gonna push this again. Okay, it's still kind of breaking. That one works. Okay. You just see that? Don't worry, we'll do it again. All right, so we'll push the lever again. We watch it. It drains. We go over here, and it fills up. Ah, it's so cool, man. Ah, this took forever to make. So there we have it. Yeah. So you can drain and fill these tanks with water, and it decides where the fish is, and the fish allows you to create a platform to cross the lava. So what tank do you want full? Do you want the middle tank full? Do you want the right tank full? Do you want the left tank full? I don't know. You decide. You try to figure out where this goes. Okay, so we do that. We fill up the tank. And we go over here, and look at that. All right, cool camera tricks. I love the 2 things that I worked so hard on last time. Okay, I didn't really work too hard on the SRD camera plugin because obviously that was already made. But I had the problem of the light mask. So solving the light mask has enabled me to do so many cool tricks. I love this plugin now that I have all sorts of camera tricks going on now. So now, when you step up to here, to this switch, this is for controlling the platform. And what you'll see... Still not understood why a fish becomes a platform. Alright? Alright, hang on. I have the exact explanation. Let me bring up my... Where is the... this one? Yeah, okay, so first of all, you can see here's all of the elements to create the tank. Anyways, I'm gonna bring this over here real fast, and let's bring up, which one is it? Cave dialogue. Here we go. So let's see. So Fiddle says, "Sorry, mister, you always say funny things I don't understand, like mall pick lava. But it also sounded like you said throw a fish. I'm sorry, mister, for not understanding you, but could you repeat yourself? Throwing a fish sounds like a stretch even for my misunderstanding." The guy replies, "You understood correctly, Violin. It's Fiddle, and that doesn't make sense. See, it's too hot for a bucket of water. Unprotected, that water will evaporate before it even touches lava. Well, pray that it does. Otherwise, the water that gets trapped beneath the felsic lava will vaporize, rapidly expand, and then spontaneously explode, sending 650-degree molten minerals flying in all directions, possibly onto you, where it will violently and painfully burn the... Okay. I understand. I understand enough of what you're saying to know that it sounds scary. Right. The fish are just balloons of water. They'll slowly cool the area around them and create a platform for you to jump across, temporarily at least. Plus, at the end, you get deep-fried fish, and it's really quite delicious. So there you go. There's your story explanation of why it's fish. So anyways, yeah, here's the nice thing. There's this quality of life where the camera will pan over here. It gives you a really nice view of the whole area that you need to refer to for solving this puzzle. So you press a switch and it spawns a platform. And you can decide what is the appropriate place to place this platform. Now here's the thing. So I mentioned this last time, is that the way that the player will access this is that right now, the player cannot get up to the upper area. Sorry, I'm pointing at the screen. The player cannot get up here to this upper area yet. They have to figure this out in advance. Now, I will allow them. You can kind of see it over here. No, you can't. Wait, yes, you can. My camera's on the way. You can kind of see over here that there is this, this area here that I'm going to allow the player to jump down in the event that they did not solve this correctly. So, but it's going to be a one-way trip. So if they did not solve it correctly, then they'll have to go all the way back around up here. So anyways, so this gives them quality of life to be able to see what they're doing, decide where they need to place the platform, and then once they've decided where they want to put it, they can just move on. They'd jump across here, and then they'd go down through here. I think I can technically go through here, but if I go into the next room, I haven't put any of the transfers, so I would just be stuck in that room. So let's not go there. Let's just pretend that I went down there and I went all the way around, and then I come back up here. And now we're up here, and now there's the fish. Now here's some more fun camera tricks that I did. So now when you come in, it zooms the camera in, because you kind of have like a little mini game here where you have to time your button press to get the fish. And now you got it. Hooray! So now that you have the fish, if I just wanted to just throw it there, incorrect player region ID, that's just debug information, wrong region ID. Oh no, and then the fish jumps back out. And then we get the fish, and then we're like, well, we have this platform here, I don't know, we'll just jump across here. I wonder what's through this door, and then you try to go through, and oh no, the fish jumps out. So then you have to go back over here and get yourself a new fish again. There we go. And then if you're standing in the correct areas, just like that. Oh no, it was too slow. So anyways, yeah. This took a long fucking time to set up. Oh no. Right. So here's something that has been happening lately, and I think I know maybe why. Let's bring this up. So the game's crashed. So it only has this, which I think is typically there. It's just something in Terex's lighting. But I don't think it actually causes any sort of problems. I don't think that's what the crash is about. It's just not reporting it. It's frozen like this. And I think this has to do with the this has to do with the weather plugin that I'm using. So if you look, we have these little embers that are kind of like floating around in here. All right, listen. This is a heart-to-heart between you and me and anyone else who's watching the stream archive, or God forbid. Yeah, I have no idea. It's just a skill sequencer. But I bet if I bring that up now, yeah, see, it's still there. So that's not what the crash is about. I have no idea what this is about, but it doesn't seem to be causing any problems. And in fact, I've never had this crash anywhere except for here, in the cave. So here's the heart-to-heart between anyone who's watching this, but Fortuna Street, since you're here right now. I am so unbelievably miffed about this plugin. Okay, I try to sound reasonable on the forums whenever I talk about it, but this is not on the forums. I am off the forums, and so I'm going to sound like an angry little man right now, okay? I bought Aries weather plugin. So Aries is one of the creators promoted on Yonfly's page. That's how I found this plugin. And it is a premium fucking plugin that costs, I think it's like $15 or something like that. And you know what? I spent that $15 because I was a fucking idiot. You know what? That's not even a problem. Here's where it really gets annoying. I don't have a problem with the money that I spent if the fucking developer would fucking support their shit. This Ember effect that's happening right here, first of all, originally didn't even work. It would just immediately crash the game like a normal crash. You know, you'd have the report thing like pop up on the screen. It wouldn't just freeze the game like it did a moment ago. I know they're not necessarily better. And actually, that's the point that I'm making now, is that this is a horrible plugin. I cannot believe that this developer is still supported on Yonfly's page. So this Ember thing, like I said, out of the box, doesn't even work. Completely broken, immediately crashes the game. I had struggled to figure out why the fuck that was. I sent it over to a friend who is better at programming than me, but it turns out the problem was probably something I could have found out too. And that was, there was a typo. How the fuck do you release a $15 plugin and you don't even play test all of the features? On the fucking page, they market, Aries markets this effect, the Ember effect. That is something that is part of their marketing. How the hell did they not play test it to make sure that it works? It's not like a hidden function. So I reach out to Aries. Number one, annoyingly, on Aries' itch.io page, comments are disabled. So I can't get in touch with Aries there. So instead, did it crash again? It did. So we can bring this up, and you can see there's like nothing here. Like there's no reason. Like it's just frozen. Anyways, so let's just look over at my face. Let's just look at my sweaty, greasy, dirty face. So here's the thing. So on the itch.io page, comments are turned off. Can't even get in contact with Aries there. Aries says, please contact me through my Twitter. So I go to Aries' Twitter. I send a message to Aries on Twitter. Never responds. I don't even know if that message got read. Does Twitter tell you if they read the message? I don't know. I don't use Twitter enough. Please don't go look for my Twitter because I don't fucking use it. There's a check mark next to my message. Does that mean that Aries read it? I don't know. Anyways, so I sent the message to Aries, never got a reply. I went to Aries' YouTube page. It's on the page, the video demonstrating the Ember effect, and said, "Hey, I'm having a problem. Can you help me?" And still no reply. It's so incredibly just. It's so unfucking professional. I can't believe it. This comes from my experience using music software. All right, I have a lot of complaints about the music plugin world, where plugins are often have terrible DRM implemented, things like your hardware iLock keys or just atrocious unwanted software for downloading installers or whatever. You have like your clients for downloading plugins and stuff like that. Like, there's a lot of shit I hate about the music plugin industry. But there is one thing that I don't even think this is just a music plugin industry thing. I think this is just a software industry thing, where generally if the developer is no longer supporting the plugin for whatever reason, they just release all the stuff for free and just say it's as is. If it doesn't work, sorry, bud, look for something else. To me, it seems so unprofessional that Aries still has the gall to charge $15 for a broken plugin. Now, like I said, I got the plugin to work. Maybe. I got the embers to work. Now, I think this crash that is happening right now is related to it, just because I have nothing to base that off of, other than the fact that if embers was not working out of the box, and this is the only map that's using embers, and it's the only map that I've had that crash on, that's my line of reasoning why I believe it's the plugin. Yeah, and that's just it. There's another problem with it too. Okay, so if we go here, this one, sorry. So just for testing purposes, right now there's another weather effect that's built into Aries' weather, which is leaves. So now there's going to be leaves falling down. I know that doesn't make sense for here, but this is just a testing area. So I want you to keep this in mind. This happens for both leaves and embers. Watch what happens. You see all the leaves on the screen right now, right? I'm going to open the menu. Okay, I've opened the menu. Watch what happens when I close the menu. Oh, wait, no. One more time. Let's try that again. Okay, here we go. Let's try that again. So, we have the leaves on screen. I open the menu. Watch what happens to the leaves once I close it. Where'd they go? It does the same thing for embers too. It doesn't do that for like the normal weather effects, which I believe they're probably just using like, I don't know. But rain and storm and maybe snow. I actually haven't tested it with snow. It doesn't do that. But like the special weather effects like embers and leaves, it does do that. So yeah, I don't know. It's just, it's a terrible fucking plugin. And I believe it's where the crashes are coming from. And yeah, I want to replace it. So I'm glad you actually brought up Mog Weather. I haven't been completely ignoring you. I've just been going on my rant right now. So I'm glad you brought up Mog Weather, because I was going to make a post in the RPG Maker forums asking for a weather replacement. But I think you've possibly just saved me that. So I will look into Mog Weather. So thank you. What else do you say? I mean, customer service was never a good point of the Yawnfly gang. That seems to be the case. It baffles me that, I mean, I don't know. It seems like Yawnfly stuff seems pretty well supported. I don't know. I don't know why Yawnfly still has Aries there. If Aries is no longer part of the community and not supporting the plugin anymore, I don't know. I am here. This is a PSA that I don't feel like, I feel burned by Aries, so I can't give an impartial take on the forums that's mod safe. So here in my little safe space, my little corner of the internet here on YouTube, I'm here to say, fuck Aries, okay? I am so pissed that I bought this plugin and it's fucking broken, all right? Don't fucking support Aries. There's another plugin I wanted to get of Aries, and yeah, it's another expensive one, but I was willing to put up with that shit because it looked interesting. But you know what? I've completely fucking changed my mind. No, fuck it. I'm done with Aries because what a fucking ripoff. What a fucking scam. Anyways, all right. That reminded me the card game plugin for $50 that was also unusable or wasn't usable. Yeah. I don't know. I'm not familiar with the Visual Stella's side of that, but all I know is every time I see the Visual Stella stuff, it I don't know, something about their marketing really rubs me the wrong way. So, yeah. Oh, and yeah, they had another thing too, right? They had like a character generator thing. Do you know anything about that? It was stupidly expensive. It's like, I think it's like $60 for like this character generator software. That's like the only difference between from what I could tell, the only difference between the character generator software that's built into RPG Maker and their character generator is it has a few more layers, sure, but the main difference is that it uses tall sprites. And that's really it. But out of the box, it has like hardly any parts in it. So for $60, that seems terrible. I don't know. I want to get your opinion on it. I think I saved this. Do I still have it? This just reminds me that now that this has been brought up. Yeah, okay. Yeah, here. This. I saw this the other day on the forums. Here's a free character generator software. Like, it basically extends the function of the RPG Maker character generator. It adds most of the functions that I think the Visual Stella version does. It adds most of those features, but this one's free. So I don't know. $60 is crazy to me. And I found just out of curiosity, I found a nice little yeah, it's right. I always forget. Hang on, let me bring it back up. I closed it out already. Here it is. Over here. There we go. I saw this the other day on the forums, and yeah, it's basically like your just regular character generator, but expanded, and this one's free. So anyways, as I was saying, is that a little while back, a few months ago, I found this Russian website that may or may not have, a pirated version of the Visual Stella's character generator. Because I don't think there's a demo for Visual Stella's character generator thing either. So, I just pirated it, and I used it for like 10 minutes. It ran really poorly, if I remember correctly. I could be wrong about that. I think it ran really poorly. Oh, it did run poorly, but to be fair, I was running it on my piece of shit laptop, so it may not be entirely fault of the software. But yeah, it ran really poorly on there, and it didn't have a lot of options, and so I just deleted it. It's like, well, glad I got the demo of that, because I would never in my life drop $60 on that. It's crazy. So, anyways, here's what I'm gonna do real fast, actually, while I'm thinking about it. Since we're talking about terrible plugins, I'm gonna go in here. I'm gonna turn this off. And let's go back to the cave and we'll just keep talking, just sitting and chatting. But I'm gonna leave the game running again to see if it. Yeah, Shalangan's generator is very nice. It's $0 price tag for $0. Yeah, is that the one that I was just showing? I don't remember. Oh, did I already close that? I'm good at that. I already closed it out. All right. Well, anyways. So I'm just going to leave this here and we can just keep chatting. And I'm going to see if it freezes like before. See if it's related to the weather plugin or if it's something else. And if it's something else, then I got to figure it out. It could be all of my regions that I've had to put into place everywhere, that I've painted everywhere, and the parallel event that's constantly checking what region the player is in. Maybe that's what caused the crash. Who knows? Gotta open this up. Where did OBS go? There it is. Yeah, I don't know, man. I like Yawnfly's plugins, but I think I'm thankful that I don't have to deal with Visual Stella since I'm not using MZ. And I will likely skip MZ as well. I don't even know if I'm going to go over to Unity, whatever it is, RPG Maker Unite. Some of the stuff I've been reading from the... I think it's less. Thanks to... Oh god, what is his name on the forums? I've even sent private messages to him. I don't remember. He has like some like chibi blue-haired anime. I don't even know if it's a he. It could be a girl, but I think it's a he. Anyways, he has like some sort of chibi like blue-haired girl. It's like doing the peace sign. That's his avatar. I don't remember his name. I think it starts with an A. Anyways, he had taught me something indirectly, because he was actually telling someone else. I just read his post. That putting a weight, even if it's just one frame at the end of your parallel events, can offset how much resources they use. And so I think even my region ID checker event doesn't even check every frame. It's maybe once every 3 frames or something. I don't know. There's a short wait at the end of it because it's not necessary to have it check every frame, since the player's speed is relatively slow. You know, it's not like I'm dashing through these regions really quickly. So far so good. It hasn't crapped out. So I knock on wood, I do believe that it is the weather effect that causes the crash. So, anyways, also what I was going back to what I was saying about RPG Maker Unite. You know, I a little while back I had kind of skimmed through some of the devlogs, and I'm gotta say I'm not very impressed. There are some nice new features in it. Don't get me wrong. Like it's not a complete. It's not like completely bunk, but there was like a. Checking your region once a frame is never going to crash your game. Fair enough. There was, in one of the devlogs, there's like a Q&A section where one of them was like, is it going to support plugins? And to be fair, they didn't say no outright, but they said they don't have plans on it. So it's not, like, it just sounds really dumb. Arthran. Yeah, I think that's him. I don't know. And then they've spent a lot of dev work on like this, I don't know, like flowchart thing that they were talking about. I don't know if you've seen this. It just, I don't think it has anything to do with, where's the, how did I even access those devlogs before? Was it on, I swear it was on Steam. Is it just, yeah, there's a page for it. Let's see. Where are the devlogs? Oh, right here, right in front of my face. Okay. It's not this one. That's the newest one. I haven't read that, to be fair. I don't expect anything from Unite, so I will not be disappointed when it comes out. Fair enough. This right here. They talked a lot about this. Like, this is this, like, visual, like, graph thing to help you visualize stuff. Like, that's cool and all, but I don't know. It seems kind of pointless to me. I don't know. I need to read more about this. This looks a little bit more in depth than what I was reading about it before. Yeah, because I think my... Wow, how many updates did I miss? I don't know. So one of the things I wanted to... Yeah, I think this is the one that I had read. The outline editor. It's not... I don't think it's like visual scripting. Maybe they talked more about it above. But right here, this is the one that I had read. And it just sounded like it was just kind of like a tool to help you visualize things. It's not a tool... It's not like a visual scripter. It's just like a project management tool. Is how it read here. So, I don't know. I'll have to read some more about it. One of the things that I want to do a video about this too. So, like one of those in-depth videos. So there's these guys. I saw them posting, and I'm really kind of disappointed that they aren't getting like more traction. So this is RPG Architect, and these guys. So apparently their story is that is some guys who used to be like veterans of RPG Maker, but then they didn't heard about Trello. Isn't Trello like, I don't know. So these guys used to be like RPG Maker veterans, but then I think the story goes that they had like left after VX Ace, maybe like VX Ace was the last one, and then they came back and realized that the improvements between engines, as far as modern features, new features go, were not a lot. Like there hadn't been a lot of growth in the maturation of the engine itself, and so they decided that they want to build like their own, I guess you could say, spin-off of the engine. Like it's the same principles, but with way more features. And I believe in this project, man. Where's their website? This is just their Patreon, because their website has some pretty good demonstrations without having to watch the whole video. Although I guess we could just watch the video. So you have a lot more control, but it's still fairly simplified, like RPG Maker. But one of the things is that demonstrating it here, maybe. Yeah, so you can actually do, so kind of like the MV3D, I think it's called. Like that's built in natively into this, which I think is really nice. First of all, just having that natively put in, because obviously the more plugins you start to add, the more kind of like bloat happens to your game. You know, you start running into more conflicts, the possibility of conflicts and stuff like that. If it's just natively there, it's everything is so much more streamlined. So it's nice that we have... I've never heard of Wolf Engine. I'll have to look into that. Wolf Engine. Wait, is this it? No. No, I don't think so, unless we're talking about cars. Wolf Game Engine. So, okay, so here's what I'm seeing with this. It doesn't seem as robust, and this is freeware too. So don't get me wrong, I like freeware. Free is always great. The problem with freeware is that it's difficult for it to survive and to develop quickly, because if it doesn't have money coming into it, it can only be done as a hobby. And if it's a small project like this, there aren't going to be very many volunteers helping. So this is why I have high hopes for RPG Architect, because it's not freeware. It is a commercial product. They have got to get more buzz around them. This is my biggest concern, is like, they made some posts on the RPG Maker Reddit that got like no traction whatsoever. As you can see here, they only have 15 patrons here. So like, I do have concerns about this project becoming just vaporware, but I hope that it can succeed, because it, just looking at the screenshots of this, it looks like freeware, and there's nothing wrong with that. It's just that this is more robust. And if it can succeed, it will see more development over time that will hopefully bring it in line, you know, like make it like a good product.
Hello everyone. In the last few months or years, I was mostly busy
So
working with the
this video is pretty old,
RPG Architect.
but I think it demonstrates a lot of the
Also
stuff
an
pretty
RPG
well.
Maker veteran who has been working with it since the first unofficial version. So I belong to a small group of people who put this engine through its paces and test it. Working with this engine is very reminiscent of the RPG Maker. However, the developer's goal is to create a better engine, which already brings a wide range of basic functions with it. Myself and a small group of people have been working and testing with the developer for quite some time now. Most of the features have already been completed, which I would like to briefly show you in this video. In this project, I will demonstrate how the workflow could look like when creating worlds.
So this is all fairly standard like RPG Maker stuff. As you mentioned, it all generally works the same as RPG Maker, so I'm not going to really show that off. Skip ahead a little bit here.
Message boxes, music, global scripts and much more. There is way more to come yet. These are just the functions which are already implemented. It is very similar to the RPG Maker's eventing system, so if you know how to work with events, you will also know how to work with entities, which gives you the artistic freedom to work on your projects without having to code everything yourself. And even if you're able to add all functions to your entities with one click, it is also possible to create your own code and also to create entire templates that you can use as the basis for a project. When creating a new project, you specify a project folder, your tile size which you want to use for your tiles, whether you want to start a new project or you want to use a template that was created by someone.
So I already liked it, like right there. So first of all, to be fair, they started this before RPG Maker Unite, and also I think it was before the MZ update that allowed for variable tile size. So having the tile dimension, I guess, is nice. But the template thing is the thing that kind of interests me, because if you have a supportive community like you do with RPG Maker, then you could basically create a template for any type of game. You could have like your strategy games, you could have your, I don't know, you could have your action, like your, what is it, Trials of Mana type clone kind of game. You know, you could set up like templates that basically are already established, that has the general layout for what you want to do, and then you can just modify it from there. And then you could just share those templates with people, right? But that would, of course, rely on having an active community, which, again, that's what I'm saying, is that this game engine is going to live and breathe based on its user base. And so these fools have got to start marketing this better. I'm a believer in it. Don't get me wrong. I'm a believer in this engine, and I really want to do a video about it and talk about why I believe in this. But there's a glaring flaw, and that is that they are not getting enough traction.
This reminds a little maybe on blueprints that you can find in Unreal. You basically create anything you want and share templates between each other. With a right click on the entity and snap to current layer, you can position entities to the layer you have selected. So right now this entity is on this layer here. Next we have Do That mode, which is still under development, so I won't go into much detail here, and the lighting mode, which I will go into that in a moment. The place where you can carry out all configurations is the database. Starting with the first section, you can choose your modes, be it 2D or 3D. Things like the resolution, render distance, field of view, whether dynamic lighting is enabled or not, your camera settings like pitch, yaw and roll, these are more relevant for the 3D mode, which I will go more into in a moment. And maybe these settings are a bit familiar to you. At the beginning of the video I mentioned the same for the maps. The difference is everything here in the database is configured globally for all maps, but what you specify for the individual maps is only configured for those. And since
So yeah, anyways, I won't go through the whole video. I do want to skip ahead to the 3D mode, which I think is just, it's such a delightful style. It has such a delightful style to it. It's so cool. I mean, technically, if you want an engine that can handle many different kinds of systems, you could go with a more robust engine like, Unity or Unreal, or probably even Godot falls into that. And probably even Game Maker, like just even one step above RPG Maker. Um, but the challenge is like the more open and the more things that the engine can do, the more stuff the player has to define, and to be able to define a lot of different things can mean complexity, and having a lot of complexity makes it hard to learn the engine or navigate the engine. Like, I tried learning Unity last year. I actually have a Unity game that you can find on my itch.io store. It's terrible. You don't need to download it. Because I tried learning Unity, and I can't wrap my head around programming. I mentioned this before. Like, I can read some programs, but as far as actually having the ability to write a program myself, I'm too stupid for that. Um, so yeah, I don't know. I tried learning Unity, but it's so complicated that it's tough to learn. If you want to stick with something that is fairly narrow in what it can do, like RPG Maker, and they're able to make something, because it's narrow scope. They're able to make something that is easy to learn, because there's a lot less variables and factors to have to account for. So, but I believe this engine, RPG Architect, will be more complicated than RPG Maker. Like, I'm not going to say that it's going to be an easy engine to learn, but I think it's like the half step between RPG Maker and um, Game Maker. Like, Game Maker seems, I haven't, to be clear, I've never actually even touched Game Maker, but from what I understand, Game Maker is a little bit easier, but it's still more complicated than RPG Maker. And so you kind of get this large gap between RPG Maker and Game Maker. And this RPG Architect kind of looks like the half step in between those two.
the height tiles in here. You can select the height and place them on top of the tiles you have on your map. This will add to the current height of your layer. The tileset I used to create the 2D maps was also used for this project, which is just made with 15 layers. But as I mentioned before, you can go quite high with it.
See, I love the 3D effect. It's so charming, man. I love it.
Talking about shapes now, you are not limited to one kind of looking shapes. RPG Architect gives you the ability to create any shapes you want by placing shape tiles on top of your regular tiles. Right now, these are some shapes we have already implemented. With these you can create your worlds that look more triangulated or rounded if you want, which gives you the possibility to create worlds that look exactly like these from the PS1 era. And more shapes are yet to come. RPG Architect comes also with its own lighting system, which lets you add light sources the same way as with entities. A right click on the light source lets you either snap the light to the currently selected layer, or edit the settings of the light source, like position relative to the layer, the color of the light source, radius and intensity, indicated by the circle on the map and the color of those. For multiple light sources you could just create one by one or copy paste them till you have the amount you need. And here in the section for the map properties, you can set the ambient light color and the directional color.
It's so cool, man.
Next section.
So yeah, I don't know. I believe in this project, but I also believe they need help. So I don't know. I'm not going to be that marketing arm unless somehow I start getting hundreds of thousands of subscribers, which is not going to happen. But I do want to make a video about it anyways. Not just because I want to help them market their stuff, because like I just said, that's not really going to be a huge marketing boost to them. But just because it is something that I genuinely care about, and it's something that I want to talk about. So I don't know. What I'm really waiting on is having $10 that I can spend. Sort of in a bit of a financial rut right now that even just $10 a month for a Patreon is kind of out of the question. So it's probably going to be a little while, unfortunately. So I hope they can. I'm sure they'll be fine in the next few months. I'm sure they don't need me to give them $10. But if anyone's watching this, like you, Fortuna, or anyone who's watching the archive, and want to throw $10 towards them because you too believe in it, it's RPG Architect by Monster and Robot Enterprises. In fact, since I brought it up in the archive, I'll make sure to add the link to this, so you can just click on the link and support these guys. But oh yeah, I forgot I had the game running, and look at that. It's still not frozen, so that just goes to show that, well, it doesn't really go to show, but it seems fairly definitive that the freezing problem was caused by that awful plugin, weather plugin. So I guess I'm gonna have to look into Mog's weather. So that's gonna be fun. That's gonna mean having to redo weather effects. And I wonder if I can. There's two weather effects that are specific to Aries' weather that I wonder if I'm gonna be able to, how easy it'll be or difficult it'll be to set those up. One of them is kind of these like sparkles. I can kind of show that here. It's a pretty subtle effect. You're gonna see the start of the game. Just see the demo of Mog. I'll have to look it up. I tried looking for Mog stuff before and it seemed like it was offline. Oh right, I have the plugin turned off. There's 30 different weather. Okay, hopefully there's something in there that, if not an exact replacement, a suitable replacement. If there's 30 fucking effects. Oh, where is Aries? There it is. Oh, I have to go through the intro again. Probably should have just set up in like one of the test areas the weather effect instead of just starting at the beginning of the game. But oh well, you get to see the beginning, and you got to see one of the secrets about my beginning. I don't know if you noticed it, but there's a secret there. Yeah, there you go. So you have these little magic sparkles that are happening all around. So yeah, that's one of the weather effects that I would have to replace. The other weather effect I showed earlier, it's the leaves falling. I have not implemented an area that uses the leaves yet, but I do plan on having a forest as you can see here. I do plan on having a forest where the leaf effect would be very useful to have. And then, of course, there's the Ember effect, which is the whole thing that has been causing my game to crash and has caused me to be very annoyed with Ares. So, but if there's 30 different effects, like I said, surely one of those 30 effects, if it's not an outright replacement, it may at least be a good substitute. So we'll have to see about that. I'll look into that. I guess that might be my project this week, as well as continuing work on the cave. At least now with the cave, I think all the puzzle elements have been built. So now, for the most part, I think it's just copying and pasting the puzzle elements to the other parts of the cave. And just, you know, reassigning switches and whatever. So, but I don't think I need to build any more puzzle elements between the spawning platforms, the fish mechanic, and the tanks, the water tanks. I think that's all of the moving parts for this dungeon. So, or level, or whatever you want to call it. So, yeah. Hopefully that means from this point forward, I should be able to finish developing the cave fairly quickly. Unless I get distracted again with balancing stuff and working on the weather, replacing the weather. So, but anyways, I guess that's gonna be for next time. I've been streaming for like nearly 2 hours at this point. I do want to go ahead and mention that I've been thinking about the streaming games. So first of all, as far as my last Bad RPG Maker Games stream went, it's performed poorly. I mean, performs better than my dev streams. I know my dev streams don't perform very well. But relative to the other... Oops. Don't play that. Stop. Don't play that video. You're going to listen to another live stream. Anyways. So... yeah, compared to my previous two Bad RPG Maker game streams, this one performed really badly. And if I had to make a guess, the reason is because of the two games. The Unity game, which doesn't have comments enabled at all. I did tweet my review out to the developer, but they never responded. And then also the cat kawaii game, whatever, that I started it with. Also, the developer gets a bunch of comments on it because it's pretty popular, and I had mentioned this in the stream that I felt like I would just become more of the white noise that is filling the comment section of that video, which means it doesn't bring a lot of traffic to my channel. Which, again, yes, there's part of that is for selfish reasons. Obviously, I want my channel to perform better, but also it's not entirely selfish because, as other developers have reported, whenever I do these streams, typically they get traffic redirected towards their own games, so they see a bump in traffic too. So the more eyes I can bring onto my stream also means the more eyes that are on other people's games, and hopefully their games get more downloads. So basically what I'm saying is that was a bad plan that I had with the last stream, and so I'm going to be more cautious about the type of games that I play on stream. I want to make sure that they are lesser known games. That way I can hopefully support the developer. This is one thing also why in my community post that I made about August is that I wanted to make sure that I prefer that people send me their own games, because I feel like they're going to be more hungry for reviews and stuff like that, rather than them suggesting a game. Because if they suggest a game, then that game, they may have found that game because of its popularity or any other number of reasons. Anyways, I would just prefer if it was, like your own game that you submitted rather than someone else's. So with all that said, before I sign off here, what I want to say about the next Bad RPG Maker game stream that I'm going to do is I'm thinking, one, since I didn't realize the indie, whatever, IGMC, I think is what it's called. I didn't realize that voting for this went on through the month. I thought voting was only open for a very short amount of time. So I was thinking I wouldn't be able to help any of the folks because I didn't plan on streaming any of those games until this coming Saturday, which means at that point I thought voting would have already been closed. But turns out, no. It wouldn't increase the audience. Why is that? It might. You never know. Because one of the RPG Maker games that I featured 2 streams ago was like just using standard RTP in MZ. And it was one of the last games I had streamed. And that guy had told me that he got quite a few downloads. And for a fairly standard game, it seemed like people were still interested in it. So you'd be surprised. It seems like there are some folks that are watching that are interested. So anyways, back to the Saturday. What I think I'm going to do is that I'm going to enjoy my summer vacation. I'm on summer vacation right now. That's why I'm streaming more often. I'm not working. I go back to work in September. You'll be on the stream anyway. Well, then you can yell at me for doing wrong things. I might just try. Before I'd been picking out like 4 games and just called that good enough. But I think I want to try. I don't want it to be unfair to any of the people who made a game for the whatever the fuck it's called, the contest, the IGMs. I don't know. I'm gonna get the letters wrong, but it's whatever. IGMC, IGCM, whatever it is. I don't want it to be unfair that like only these lucky few happen to appear in my stream. If my streams, I know it doesn't contribute a lot because I'm a fairly small channel, but it, like I said, there have been other folks who have reported an uptick in their traffic, which means there is still some influence from my channel. Even if it's not a lot, it's more than none. And so I don't want it to be unfair that like, oh, I only featured these games, but I didn't feature any of these other ones, and therefore they just shit out of luck, you know. Obviously, things are never going to be perfectly fair, but if I can do anything to try to balance that playing field, I want to do that. And so this is all to say that I basically want to do a double-length stream next time and try to play as many IGCM, IGMC, whatever games that I'd play as many as I can next time. So I think that's the plan. We're going to play a lot of games, and I think I'm just going to play as many as I can until I'm just too tired to play. So I'm going to have to buy way more drinks, and we'll just see how far we can go. And then maybe the following week, I'll do the same thing. We'll see how many games there are. I think there was like, let me bring it up. Let me just bring it up instead of talking out of my ass. Let me just bring up the... Oh, it's right there. IGMC. Okay, IGMC. Let me just bring it up. Okay, that's for the... Here's the Game Jam page. How many games have been submitted? Okay, there's 158. That's a lot more than I thought, but it's also not completely unreasonable. I definitely don't think I can get through all 158, but I do think I could probably make a pretty nice hefty chunk. I could take a hefty chunk out of that. I could probably maybe get through actually even 50 sounds pretty lofty. Probably less than 50. I don't know. We'll figure it out. Either way, we're gonna play a bunch of those games and hopefully give everyone at least a small chance of getting some votes. There are a few games that I already picked out for next stream that are not IGMC. I just had it. What is it? It is IGMC. Yeah, IGMC. Okay, there's a couple of games. Just make a random generator to determine which game you play. I suppose I could do that. But anyways, there's a couple of games I picked out that I do really want to try, that I've already downloaded, that I plan to play next stream. So those will probably be included, and then probably like 5 or 6 IGMC games. And maybe more. I don't know. We'll see. So I think that's the plan for next week, and then possibly even the following week after that as well. That's what I'll do. And that's the other thing too, is at least with these games, is I think the amount of attention on them is they're new games. These are developers that probably want the feedback. And there's also, it's not going to be buried under tons and tons of comments. So hopefully, unlike the 2 games that I played last time, hopefully leaving a comment on there will hopefully still bring some more attention to other games that get featured as well. So hopefully that stream will perform better on YouTube than my last Bad RPG Maker game stream. So we'll have to look and see how that goes. But I think that's going to be it for today. So as usual, Fortuna, thank you for joining me and sticking around for 2 hours almost on the dot. Nice to have you here. Always appreciate it. And I know there's a couple of people who always watch the archive. So also thank you to those people who come to the archive and watch it. So as usual, check out the links down below to my book, to my music, to my previous game, to my Lonely Discord. And there's going to be the link to RPG Architect down there as well. Actually, I'll probably put that at the top of the list because my links are always down there, but RPG Architect is not always down there. So, yeah, make sure to check out RPG Architect. Support these guys. I believe in it, but they need more publicity. And that's it. Do the YouTube stuff. Like, comment, subscribe. And, yeah, that's about it. See ya.